Under kinesiology, we will discuss about the kinematics, which is the branch of classical mechanics which describes the motion of the object, points or systems. So movement of the cervical vertebral column is the kinematics of cervical vertebral column. It is divided into osteokinematics and arthrokinematics. Osteokinematics means angular movement that happens between two bones. For example, flexion and extension. Arthrokinematics, arthro means joint. So arthrokinematics refers to the movements of joint surfaces like sliding, rolling and spinning. So kinematics means the mechanics that describes the movement or motion of the objects such as bone and joint surfaces. Osteokinematics means osteo means bone. So the movements of bone, the angular movements of bones are called as osteokinematics. For example, flexion and extension. And arthrokinematics means the movements of joint surfaces. Next point under kinesiology we will discuss is about kinetics. Kinetics describes about the forces acting on bones and joints. For example, torque. Torque is a force, compressive force, distractive force, this all comes under kinetics. So first we'll discuss about the kinematics. Under kinematics, we'll discuss the osteokinematics of cervical vertebra. When we describe about osteokinematics, we have to remember 3 points, that is movement occurring at that segment. Here we are discussing about cervical vertebra. So movement occurring at cervical vertebra is the first point. Second point we have to describe is the plane and axis. The movement occurring at the vertebra occurs in which plane and axis. And the third point is the range of motion. So these 3 points should be always written if asked about osteokinematics for any segments. So what all are the movements occurring at the cervical region or cervical vertebra? Number one, it is flexion and extension. Second one is lateral flexion to the left and lateral flexion to the right. You also can call it as side flexion. Third one is rotation to the left or rotation to the right. And fourth movement that occurs, or the fourth osteokinematics of cervical vertebra, is protraction of the cervical vertebra and retraction of the cervical vertebra. So first point we have discussed, that is movement occurring at the cervical vertebra for osteokinematics. Second point we have to discuss about the plane and axis. So during osteokinematics of flexion and extension, that is the flexion and extension occurs in which plane and which axis. You can pause the video if you want to practice your knowledge. The flexion and extension of the cervical vertebra occurs in sagittal plane and coronal axis. The movement is in this direction for flexion and this direction for extension. So this occurs in sagittal plane and the perpendicular axis to the sagittal plane is called as coronal axis. The third point that we have to discuss under osteokinematics is the range of motion. So what is the range of motion for flexion of cervical vertebra? The range of motion is 0 to 45 or 50 degree from the neutral position. And for extension is 0 to 75 or 80 degree from the neutral position. Next osteokinematics we will discuss is for lateral flexion of cervical vertebra. So this is the movement that occurring at the cervical vertebra, that is lateral flexion. Second point we have to discuss is about plane and axis. So lateral flexion of cervical vertebra occurs in coronal plane and sagittal axis. You can see here the movement of lateral flexion occurs in coronal plane and the perpendicular axis on which the movement occurs is the sagittal axis. Third point we will discuss under osteokinematics of lateral flexion is range of motion. So the range of motion of lateral flexion is 0 to 35 or 40 on each side. Next, moving on to osteokinematics during axial rotation, the rotation of cervical vertebra. That is the movement occurring at the cervical vertebra. It is axial rotation. So the axial rotation occurs in which plane? Horizontal plane and vertical axis. You can see the rotation occurs in horizontal plane and the axis on which it rotates is the vertical axis. The range of motion of axial rotation is 0 to 65 to 70 degree on each side. Next, moving on to osteokinematics during protraction and retraction. So you can see here for protraction, the translation of the head forward is called as protraction and the translation of head backward is called as retraction. This picture shows us about the protraction. So during protraction, there is extension that occurs at the upper cervical region and there is a flexion that occurs at the middle and lower cervical region. You can see in the picture here C1 and C2 is considered as the upper cervical region. So you can see there is a extension at the upper cervical region whereas there is a flexion at the middle and lower cervical region. So this movement of extension at the upper cervical and flexion at the lower and middle cervical will create the protraction. During retraction, there is flexion occurring at the upper cervical region and extension at the middle and lower cervical region. You can see here C1 and C2, there is a flexion occurring there, and for the middle and lower cervical region you can see there is an extension occurring there. So because of this movement there is retraction happening at the cervical vertebra. Second point we have to discuss under osteokinematics is plane and axis. So retraction and protraction occurs in sagittal plane and coronal axis. Now let's discuss about the range of motion occurring at different segments of the cervical vertebra. Flexion, the total range we have discussed, it is about 0 to 45 or 50 degree. 0 to 5 degree occurs in atlanto-occipital joint. 0 to 5 degree occurs in atlanto-axial joint as well. And the majority of the flexion of cervical vertebra occurs at the intercervical region, that is 0 to 35 to 45 degree. So therefore the total range of motion of flexion is 0 to 45 or 50 degree. Second movement is extension. Atlanto-occipital joint extension is similarly atlanto-axial joint extension is 0 to 10 degree, and intercervical joint, that is from C3 to C7, it is about 0 to 45 to 0 to 55 to 60 degree, and it adds up to be the extension range of 0 to 75 or 80 degree. Coming to axial rotation, there is no axial rotation at the atlanto-occipital joint. This is an important point here. There is no axial rotation at atlanto-occipital joint, whereas atlanto-axial joint has the maximum axial rotation where the atlas will twist around the dens of axis. Therefore the C2 is named as axis. The rotation range, the combined rotation range at C3 to C7 is about 0 to 30 to 35 degree, and it sums up to be the range of 0 to 65 to 75 degree for total axial rotation at cervical vertebra. The atlanto-occipital joint lateral flexion is about 0 to 5 degree, whereas atlanto-axial joint has no lateral flexion. Important point here, the atlantoaxial joint has no lateral flexion. The intercervical region has the maximum lateral flexion of 0 to 30 to 35 degree, giving the total range of 0 to 35 to 40 degree of lateral flexion of cervical vertebral column. So let's summarize it again. The maximum flexion range occurring at the cervical vertebra is at the level of C3 to C7. The maximum extension also occurs at this level, that is C3 to C7, and the joint that is responsible for giving this range is mostly facet joint or apophyseal joint. The majority of the axial rotation occurs at the atlantoaxial joint and C3 to C7 area. There is zero range at atlanto-occipital joint. The majority lateral flexion also occurs at C3 to C7 area. So there is no the atlanto-occipital joint and there is no lateral flexion at the atlantoaxial joint. Coming to arthrokinematics at the cervical vertebral column. Arthrokinematics means the movement or the motion occurring at the joint surfaces. So what are the movements occurring at the joint surfaces? Those are rolling, sliding, and spinning. So rolling is a rotatory movement where one bone rolls on another bone. Sliding is also a rotatory movement where one bone, spinning is also a rotatory movement where one bone spins on the other bone, whereas sliding is a translatory movement, sliding of one joint surface over another. Coming to very important point here is convex concave rule. We have to understand this concept for understanding arthrokinematics or describing the arthrokinematic movement at the joint surface. Convex concave rule, the direction in which sliding occurs depends on whether the moving surface is convex or concave. So we know the surfaces of the joint. Some joints are concave, that is hollowed or rounded inward, and convex, that is curved or rounded outward. So these two types of joints we find plenty in our joints. Some joints are flat, but majority of the joints have concave and convex surfaces. So sliding of the joint surface depends upon which type of joint surface is moving on which type. So rule 1 is if the concave surface is moving on convex. So if the concave surface rolls on convex surface, sliding occurs in same direction to the angular movement of the bone. Again I repeat, if the concave surface rolls on convex surface, sliding occurs in same direction to the angular movement of the bone. You can see here the angular movement and the sliding, which is given by this blue indicator on the joint surface. The sliding occurs in the same direction to the bone. Rule 2, if the convex surface is moving on concave surface. If the convex surface rolls on concave surface, sliding occurs in the opposite direction to the movement of the bone. So these two are the important points before moving on with arthrokinematics for individual joint surfaces.